Hello, YouTube friends. How have y'all been? Hope your summer is going well. Tomorrow is August, and my name is Holly, and you have found my channel. And if you haven't been here before, welcome. And if you have been here before, well, welcome back. And I hope that you'll all find all of this comfy and cozy and enjoyable enough that you will subscribe. But let's do the video and see what you think. This is a catch-up video, and I posted kind of a lot there. I posted 2 videos in a row. I don't think it was just last week, but it wasn't that long ago. And then that felt like too much. But the one video, I felt like I had forgotten to say so many things that I felt like I had to come back and wrap it up. So anyway, I am back. I haven't finished anything since then, but I have been plowing ahead on my reading, and I'm doing a pretty good job. I am kind of getting to bed too late at night, and that's hindering the progress I'm making in my evening reads. But I'm still eking it out, and I have, like I mentioned, I think 2 videos ago, I've really found my reading again, you know. And one of my friends here, Jim, suggested that maybe I'm finding this reading energy again because I am readapting, leaning back into a more analog life, which kind of got some wheels spinning in my head. And look for a channel name change soon. I think I'm going to change my channel name, which I'm saying the same thing twice, but my brain's starting to think, and I'm kind of coming up with some names. I don't want anything like super lame, and you know, I don't want to be like super catchy, but I want something that expresses what I am trying to mold this channel into, which is a place to talk about more than just books. But books is like my new thing. You know, it's like when you get a new, partner and you're so excited because you found somebody you click with. It's kind of how I'm feeling about books right now. So, and I'm still not doing great with my morning reads because I get distracted in the morning, but even there I'm doing better, and it helps because I love the book I'm reading in the morning. In fact, I love all the books I'm reading right now. So I'll start with my morning read, which right now is The Enchanted April. I talked about this last time. It is the book that inspired the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It is the most visually stunning movie. I like movies. I don't think anybody doesn't like movies that catch your eye, but that's one of my criteria. Like, I like just looking at the movie. So my favorite movies tend to be the kind of movie that you could just watch like in a background and enjoy what you're looking at because it's so beautiful. There used to be a restaurant, actually. I am originally from Northern California, and there used to be a restaurant in San Francisco. And I don't know if it was even there for very long, but they used to show, I believe they were, I want to say French, but maybe they were just foreign films. It was a mostly outdoor seating restaurant, and they had a big wall. And I don't think it was a screen. I think it was just a wall painted cream. And they used to show, I act like I went there a bunch of times. I only went there once, but they would show foreign films on that wall, and there was no sound. And it's kind of like that, like a movie that would do that for me. So Enchanted April is that kind of movie. It's beautiful. And if you don't know this story, it's 2 English women who are pretty bored with their lives. I think it's February when the book opens up, and it's raining. And one of the ladies sees an ad in a newspaper, and it says, "For those who love wisteria and sunshine." And it's an ad to rent a medieval castle in Italy for the month of April. And she gets the idea that if she gets some women to rent this with her, that she can afford it, and she can take the money she's been saving for a long time and put a portion of it towards this month escape. And so she finds another woman, and they decide they need 2 more women. And if you're a fan of Bridgerton, you'll like this movie only because you'll get to see Polly Walker back in the early 90s. And oh my gosh, is she lovely, beautiful in this movie. So maybe one of the reasons I like this book so much is because so far anyway, it's pretty true to the movie. And it's written in a way that really immerses you in that world, which I happen to love because I love that movie. So I just like sit in the morning and swoon while I'm reading this. And I'm getting pretty good far along in it. I'm at page 104 now. I think it's about 300 pages. And actually not quite, it's 244. So I don't have that much further to go. And I kind of will be sad when it's over. And I was looking, before I started filming this, I was looking for a passage that I really enjoyed, because when I was reading it, I was thinking, oh, I should mark this. And this should be something I read to the folks who watch my YouTube. And I'm not going to sit here and look for it again, although I'm kind of doing that while I talk to you. But there was a passage in here where I felt absolutely at one with the movie, or the visions in my head from the movie and the original, I'm sure, intent behind this book. It's like the first morning that they've arrived, and they like open their windows. It's one woman in particular. It's the woman who first found the ad, and she opens her windows and there's flowers and a view of the ocean, and she is so enchanted by what she finds herself in, and you're so happy for her that she's made this come true for herself. And they talk about all the different plants, all the different trees, and the different terraces and gardens, and it's just, anyway, I'm obviously enjoying it a lot. So that is a very successful read. And I think the next morning read that I brought it. I swear I brought it. Didn't I bring it? Maybe I didn't. The next morning, yes, I did bring it. The next morning read I think, is a book that I mentioned last time, which was in the smallest book haul ever, which was this one book, which is A Cook's Tour by Anthony Bourdain. And I'm pretty sure this was his first book, although I feel like in reading this, I discovered that perhaps it's not. But he starts it by writing a letter to his wife, who I know by the time I came to Anthony's world and watched him on television, he was already separated from that wife, and I think maybe with the next person in his life, who became the mother of his one and only child. I think his only child. Anyway, all that to say, this is early on, before he became, big shot on TV, and I'm looking forward to reading that. So I hope these both, they seem relatively different, well, obviously very different, but of course he had a real affection for, travel. So maybe in that way they kind of have the same vibe, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be a pretty different read. But anyway, I think this is going to be next in the morning, and I'm really looking forward to getting through this. And I would love to get the movie again. I used to have it, and it's a movie that's hard to find on television, and I refuse to stream on Amazon, and I don't really like streaming in general, which kind of loops back to my analog life. So I've been buying DVDs so I decide, and I can watch it as many times as I want. And I'm thinking I want to get this movie again once I finish that book. And then I thought I would mention to you guys, I almost just fell over in my chair. I thought I would mention to you guys what I do in the morning. I don't do this while I'm reading in the evening, but in the morning, to try to keep myself off of my phone, I brought out my dictionary. And I actually looked up 3 words this morning while I was reading Enchanted April. Some of the writing, I mean, is a little, well, it's English, and it's also written a little like proper or formal. And so some of the words are a little bit fancier than words I know and use. So this came in handy this morning. I'm trying to remember the books or the words that I looked up, and I can't remember. But if you grew up using this like I did, and you haven't used an actual dictionary, a hardback or paper dictionary for a while, I highly recommend you start again. It's really a lovely feeling. I mean, it is for me. And I don't know, this is a time machine. It just takes me back. And I'm not really trying to escape the reality of well, actually, I'll take that back. I am kind of trying to escape the current events of reality now. But in general, this is not me trying to shun my, my life here and now. It's me trying to slow myself down and find an appreciation for things that I used to love and I just got away with because the world and life and culture and my life evolved. And so I got away from doing a lot of the things that used to bring me a lot of joy, which includes reading magazines, which takes me to my first of 2 books that I'm reading in the evening. And oh my God, I love this. I showed this to you guys last time. It's by Graydon Carter. Oh, I forgot to say I'm sure you saw, but let me give credit to the author who wrote The Enchanted April. And just to note, it's called Enchanted April in the movie. There's no the. Elizabeth von Arnim, Arnim. So if you just like lovely things and lovely books that conjure up lovely images, I think you'll like that. And if you grew up looking up words in a dictionary rather than online, I think you'll love getting your dictionary out again. I was trying to see if I wrote in this. Sometimes when I open these older books, I'll find my name and my phone number, which I don't have. I never have the phone number that's written inside my books. A couple of them have the phone number that I had while I was in college, and which I've long since forgotten, but it's kind of fun to remember what my number was. Anyway, this just takes me back to not to take me back. It brings me into that cozy world that I'm kind of trying to recreate. And I am having to look up a few words in this book, but I look them up on my phone at night because he's a really good writer. And sometimes he uses some fancy words. We used to call those SAT words. Anyway, this is just what you think it would be. He was the editor of Vanity Fair, I believe, beginning in 1992, which is right in my sweet spot. Because 1992, I was 22. I was in college. I was in probably my 2nd or 3rd year. I started college in the fall of 1988, and it took me 5 years to finish. So I was still in the first couple of years. And that's probably also about the time that I started really reading Vanity Fair. I remember reading it a bit in high school, but I think maybe it was a little bit beyond me at that point. I was already reading magazines. Like I was reading Interview Magazine and Elle and, well, anyway, I was reading magazines, but I don't think Vanity Fair, the articles were long and they were very cultured. And I don't think I was quite ready for those in high school. And by college, I was starting to be ready for those. And I really came to love Vanity Fair. It informed me about a lot of the things that I would never have known about anyway. And reading about how he came through the ranks to kind of luck out and get this job is intensely interesting. And he writes, I don't know, he just writes in this really friendly way, in a really friendly, warm way. He's very honest. He tells you a lot of things like about what he was thinking when he made decisions or wasn't thinking. And it's a really good book. How far along am I in it? I think I figured out that I'm halfway. I'm more than halfway, I think. It's 220 pages, and I'm at 220, and it's a total of 420 pages. So I'm more than halfway through, and I'm really proud of myself. It's pretty thick, especially for me. But now that I'm back in my reading groove, it's not so long. What else can I tell you about this book other than I just really, really love it? And if you were a magazine reader and you're thinking as I'm speaking that maybe dipping back into a little bit more analog stuff in your life will be comforting, I highly recommend this book if this is your thing. The other book that I'm reading at night, which I talked to you guys about last time too, is The Heart by not by Frida Kahlo. The Heart, Frida Kahlo in Paris by Marc Petitjean. I don't know how to say that. I feel like every video I make has a French word in it, and I don't speak French. I speak Spanish, and so I'm sure I'm massacring the pronunciations. Anyway, I like this book too. I don't love it as much as the Graydon Carter book, but it's way different. And it's about a very specific time in Frida's life when she was in Paris, not for a real long time. She was there for her first solo exhibition at a surrealist gallery, and sort of the story about how people took care of her and where she ended up staying and who she was staying with and who she connected with. It was a time in her life when she was not getting along with Diego. He had been unfaithful to her with her sister, and so she was very hurt. But it's kind of surprising to me too how much she was still communicating with him, but I guess not. I'm not some expert on her life, but I do know that even when she was totally fed up with him and pissed, that she loved him so much that I don't think she was ever really entertaining ideas of leaving him. And so there are moments in this book when she gets in touch with him, or they mention her writing him a letter. But the gist of this book is that she had an affair with the father of the man who wrote this book, and that it was not a well-known relationship, and it didn't last a real long time. But it's a much different perspective on her life than anything I've read. And it also mentions her inspiration for some of her works of art that she painted after this book takes place. So I'm more than halfway through this one. I'm at page 132, and we're coming up on the end, kind of, because it's only 190 pages. So probably finish this by the weekend, and then I will move on to my next evening read, which I don't really know. I don't have like a clear plan. Actually, and you know what? I don't have a TBR. I have TBR stacks, but they're not in any kind of order. It's not like, oh, I must read this. There are so many places. This is what I came to, this idea. There are so many places in our lives where we don't get to choose what we're going to do, or anyway, I don't think that my reading experience would be as fun as it is re-becoming if I was forcing myself to follow some list. Whatever I feel like reading, when one book finishes, I'm going to let myself decide in the moment. And if I don't love the book after a little while, I'm not going to force myself to read it. I'm going to let this be a pure pleasure thing. I did enough reading because I had to when I was in school, and I'm not doing it anymore. So I think the two books that I have in mind to be an evening read once I finish Graydon Carter and Frida is this one, which I'm pretty sure I've shown you before, and the cover is so great. The Fifth Avenue 5 a.m. Look at that. Look at Holly. Oh, I think that was when I started to like my name. I didn't really like my name growing up. I didn't hate it or anything, but I really wanted to be Wendy. And meeting Holly Golightly made me like kind of, I don't know, oddly proud or something. Just I loved that her name was Holly. And then I had a boyfriend in college who loved Breakfast at Tiffany's and loved the character and loved that my name was Holly. And actually he's the only previous boyfriend I still keep in touch with, and he still sometimes calls me Holly Golightly. Anyway, this is a book about Audrey Hepburn during the time of making this movie. It's Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and the Dawn of the Modern Woman. And I have started this book. I didn't get that far. Actually, how far did I get? I got to page 6. That's really hardly starting it. That's like peeking at it. Anyway, I don't think it super caught me, so that might be a stumbling block to doing it. But I would like to read it because I just love that image. I know a lot of us do, but I just love it. And then this, Stolen Beauty, I'm pretty sure I've shown you guys this before. This is the second book by this author, Lori Lico Albanese. I told you guys that I emailed her after I finished Hester, which I loved, and told her how much I loved the book. And she said to let her know how I like this one, because I told her I would read her other stuff, which I think this is her only other book. So those are the two books that I'm thinking about reading in the evening after I finish those two. And I'm thinking about reading Anthony Bourdain's A Cook's Tour in the morning after I finish The Enchanted April. And I feel like tonight will be a night to push myself a little bit reading. I happen to indulge in a pretty juicy nap this afternoon, and I'm thinking that'll keep me up a little bit longer. I showed you guys last week Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That's another book that I'm thinking about reading in the morning. Not for maybe no other reason other than it's short and it's a children's book, so the print is relatively large and there's pictures. I don't know what that picture is of. I mentioned to you guys in a previous video that this is a cute picture, that I'm kind of reading this book. Let's see let me give credit to the artist who did the drawings. I know that Roald Dahl, I'm pretty sure Roald Dahl did the screenplay when this became a movie. And the movie is the reason I don't see credit for the artist. So it might have even been Ian Fleming. I'm not sure. I'll have to go online and look. I was so surprised to hear that Ian Fleming was the author of this book and that Roald Dahl did the screenplay. And then that made me a little bit more interested because this movie terrified me when I was a little kid. And I think every time I show you guys this book, I say the word terrified because that is the word. I was terrified. And I'm thinking reading the book will either offer insight into my little psyche because I was very little when I saw this movie, and or just make me realize it is a cute story with some creepy stuff, and the creepy stuff is just what stuck with me as a little kid. So that is my reading catch up. It's summer, and I'm not a summer person, so I'm inside a lot right now, and I'm starting to feel the summer blah coming over me. Kind of like people who live where there's not a lot of sun in the winter. I feel like I get seasonal affect disorder in the summer because I don't like the feeling of warm, hot sun on me. Yeah, it's lovely in the winter when it's cold, but I once it gets to be about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I am over being touched by the sun. I don't like feeling sweaty. It gets really humid here. I just don't like any of it. And I do try to not overly complain about the weather, but I end up talking about it a lot. And this was a really what's the word I'm looking for? Merciful beginning of summer, end of spring this year. We had a long spring and a really mild early summer. So once that happened, I told myself I was going to try to not complain about the heat. But we're here. Tomorrow's August 1, and this is as hot as it gets. I have about 6 weeks of summer left here. It really doesn't cool off here to the weather that I like until closer to Halloween, but be that as it may. There's something about being in the middle of it that reminds me that if I'm in the middle of it, I'm also moving towards the end of it. So I'm trying to stay with that frame of mind. I'm trying not to overly freak out, and I'm doing my best to meet all this time spent inside in the air conditioning by stealing little moments to read when maybe I wouldn't. So like this afternoon, I read for just like 15 minutes, but it got me a few more pages ahead in the Enchanted April, and reminded me how much I'm enjoying reading and how I'm dipping back into this analog life. And I'm kind of now looking around me to see what are the other things that I'm doing, and or what could I be doing to bring that analog feeling back into my life. And the other thing that I have sort of in the back of my mind right now is a book. I have written a book. I've never done anything with it. And I'm kind of just thinking of, I don't know if that one's ever going to become anything that I really show anybody or try to do anything with. But I have an idea for a book that would sort of be a celebration of the analog life. And so my other idea, among the many that I am mentioning, we'll see if I execute any of these, is to come on here every once in a while, no, not every once in a while, regularly, at least once a week, and have a little writing session. And I don't think I'll do it live. I don't think I'm ready for that, but just, 20 minutes of just writing, and to make sure that I'm sitting down and doing it every day or regularly, whatever I decide on. And so channel name change and a couple of shifts in what I talked to you guys about is what I'm thinking of bringing forward for August. So we'll see how that pans out. Anything else going on in my world right now? It's probably it. I'm just like, I leave the house. Well, I teach from home. I'm a yoga teacher. I teach online from home, so I don't have to leave for work. All the other stuff that goes along with that, I do at home, preparing for classes, sending emails, etc., etc. I read at home. We almost always eat at home, even when it's nice out. And I leave to go for my physical therapy, which I do every week because I don't know, I've developed frozen shoulder. That's about as high as I can lift my arm, but it's better. This is better than where it was. Oh, So I've mentioned this in previous videos. If any of you have had frozen shoulder or know somebody who has, and you have any suggestions, or you just want to commiserate with me or let me commiserate with you, you can comment. I promise I won't get weird about it. But um, I bumped into a friend at the grocery store the other day, and she was like, "Oh, I had that." And somehow, knowing her and that she'd had it, and now she has full function in her shoulder again, like, was a little light of hope. And the progress that I'm realizing now is also another light of hope. Like, I couldn't even really reach behind me. I still kind of can't. But anyway, tiny bits of progress are happening. So I'm hoping the thawing is beginning to take place and that I can keep my progress moving, because I'd really like full range of motion in my shoulder again, especially as a yoga teacher. Yeah, it's kind of key, but it's also slowed me down and made me more aware of how sometimes bodies just don't move the way you want them to, which reminds me to be um, extra mindful with my students about modifying positions so that they don't hurt themselves. I feel like all of a sudden I had this idea of what I was going to tell you guys. This is my planner. I plan everything on paper. I plan everything on a throwaway month printed out. Let's see, I have them right here, along with all the mini notebooks I have. I printed out a bunch of these blank, can you see? These blank month sheets. And these are what I plan my classes on. And then once I have everything planned, I transfer it to the planner, and then I get rid of this, because if I keep both, I end up getting tangled up between the two. And anyway, so yeah, what other things? I mean, I have so much stuff on my desk. It's obvious that I like tangible things. I'm not really that much of a digital person. So leaning back into that analog life is a super comfy place for me. And if that's a comfy place for you, or it's interesting to you, I hope you'll be back for my next video, and keep an eye for that channel name change, and other stuff that I got cooking. All right, my friends, it is nice catching up with you. Thanks for being patient with me while I figure myself out here on YouTube. I think a few more months, I'm going to be coming up on a year. I think I started last fall. So definitely been fits and spurts, and I have not been as regular as I thought I would be, but I'm not giving up. And I hope you'll stick around with me. All right, that's it for this time. I'll see you for the next one. Have a really nice upcoming weekend, everybody. Bye-bye for now.